This is a lecture from Open Tuition. For the free lecture notes that go with this podcast, please visit opentuition.com.
Chapter 13 looks at personal development plans, time management, and various ways in which you can get help and assistance at work. First of all, a personal development plan. And a personal development plan, it's how really we want to see our career and ourselves developing in the future. It can be work-related, it could be independent of work entirely, but we're particularly dealing here with development at work. And the first thing that we'll be looking at here is performance. Before we can develop further, we have to make some sort of assessment of how good we are at the moment, because until you know what your current level of performance is, we don't know the way where we want to go, or maybe where we should be going there. So we have to try to assess what we're good at, perhaps what we're bad at, or what we're good at, what we're not quite so good at, and so on. We have to identify where we are perhaps lacking performance and where we have to maybe put particular effort in developing our skills. We have to think of how we're going to acquire these skills. It might be secondment to a particular department for 6 months, where you get the skills kind of through work. It might be that you have to go on a formal course where you're specifically taught what these skills are. There may be other methods, computer-based training and so on. You might decide outside of work to do an MBA qualification or something else to improve your skills. You'll be thinking of your career development. You might be thinking what sort of additional skills, what sort of improved performance will I need if I want to maybe to be moved into a managerial position, or if I want to be moved into maybe the capital budgeting department of the finance department and so on. We are thinking not just of necessarily performance improvements for their own sake, but performance improvement and skills enhancement as a way of kind of progressing yourself logically up through the organization. And we have to bear in mind our interests, and we have to really bear in mind our strengths and our weaknesses, as well as our interests. We have to think, okay, I would like to be a salesperson, but maybe if you've got no particular aptitude to being a salesperson, no matter how hard you try, you'll never be more than a very mediocre salesperson, then that's maybe not the direction to be trying to develop in. So we have to, I think, play to our strengths as well, and play to our interests, because it's where we develop stuff that we're interested in, where we've maybe got a particular talent that we're likely to do better. And we'll be setting out a kind of action plan, an action plan which will be presumably setting things like dates by when you want to acquire certain skills and so on. You will have to be thinking what the skills are. You have to be thinking, how am I going to assess these skills or these improvements in performance, so that I actually know that I have achieved what I set out to achieve. This business here of a SMART kind of action plan can be used. We can think of specific elements of improvement. You can't just say, I want to be a better employee, or I want to be a better person. You have to be really quite specific. You would say, right, I want to become better at interviewing people, or I want to become better and maybe using Excel, or whatever the specific element performance is going to be. It has to be absolutely crystal clear, rather than a kind of hope for general improvement as a manager or a person. We have to be able to measure it. Ideally, be able to assess what kind of standard you're at now, And after the effort, after the training course, after the 6 months secondment to a different department, it'd be quite nice if we could find some way of measuring to what extent we have improved. We have to agree the plan with ourselves, if you like, and agree it with our superiors there. So there has to be an acceptance, a buying into it, if you like. We have to believe that this is something that I really want to go for. I'm going to make the effort to improve. And ideally, we have to get our managers to do the same, because they may be in charge of giving us some resources to do this, paying for a course, seconding us to a department, giving us time to learn. It has to be realistic. There is no point, as I said, in saying, well, I want to become a salesperson if you have shown no talent at sales. We would all like maybe a personal development plan to become particularly good at a given sport, but if you're not a very talented sports person, then it's maybe a little bit of a waste of time. We have to learn to live within our abilities, if you like, sometimes. Time limited, you have to put a kind of date by which you're going to achieve this performance there. Otherwise, other things push in. If you're going to be improving your performance, improving your abilities, there's effort involved. You're doing your normal job and you're trying to improve. What tends to happen is that the course gets postponed. You cancel from it. You say, "Oh, I'll do it next time," and so on. And a year goes by, 2 years goes by, and so on, and you haven't actually accomplished anything. So we need to say, I'm going to do this by 6 months' time, by a year's time, and so on. Then you have to evaluate whether or not you've done it. And again, this requires honesty. Have I achieved what I set out to achieve fully or partially, and so on? How am I doing? And then you have to review it. And I suppose in the review, we're thinking of two things. I've evaluated, I have achieved it, that's fine. I've evaluated how I've done, I have not achieved it. Do I need to actually change my development plan? Is this implying that I'm never going to achieve this very easily, that maybe I've taken a wrong kind of turning somewhere in my career? Or maybe what I have to do is to review the time constraints I've put on it. Maybe by no fault of our own, we'll be limited on time, and we need a kind of second go at it. But improvement in jobs is too important to be left to chance. Basically, if there's no plan, it's either not going to happen at all, or it's going to happen in a haphazard kind of direction, or you may end up doing a job that you're not interested in, that is not motivating. An important skill for everyone in organizations is time management. Making the best use of time that you can, efficient use of time, getting tasks done by when they should be done, and so on. And there are all sorts of, I suppose, tricks or techniques to time management that we need to be looking at. Here are some of them. Okay, set goals which are smart. We talked about these smart ideas when talking about personal development, but part of time management is, what are you going to achieve specifically, when you're going to achieve it by, how do we know we've achieved it? If you don't set goals to be done by a particular date and so on, then the time management is going to go haywire. It's probably never going to happen. So we have the action plan set out. You can even bring it down into kind of to-do lists as well. You have a list of things. People keep very simple lists of things that they want to achieve that day or that week or that month and so on. And it's very important that you prioritize. We all have lots and lots of things to do, but for some of these it's much more important to do them than others, and sometimes it's much more urgent to do them than others. So if you have a client who phones up and says, I'm having great problems with this product you've told me and so on, and the client is really kind of angry and so on there, then that is a really urgent thing that you have to do, that it's going to shoot to the top of your to-do list, because if you don't deal with this unhappy client very quickly and well, then you may lose this client. We have to think of ways of handling paperwork, where we sometimes see people in offices with great stacks of paper sitting there and so on. And there are techniques which we needn't really get into here of what to do with paper. Some paper you can file, so you can find it again. Some pieces of paper you can read once and then destroy them, because you've absorbed all of that. Some pieces of paper you can action immediately, so timesheets come in for you to approve. Well, why put them on a pile of paper? Why not kind of approve them now and pass them on to the next section and so on? Some pieces of paper you say, well, I can't do anything with it today, but I will put it here and I will look at it in 2 days' time. Well, maybe I have the information, or maybe where I have the really urgent tasks done. So we need to also think of sequencing tasks. We need to have an acute understanding of which tasks have to be done before something else can be done. So we have a complex project to do. Let's say it's putting in a new IT system. Then before you can put in the new IT system, you have to have kind of chosen the hardware, chosen the software, and then you have to get it installed. And after you get it installed, then maybe you can train people. And only after you train people can you kind of switch it on and so on. And you can be setting kind of dates. We want this to be switched on in 6 months' time. Therefore, I'll start the training in 5 months' time. Therefore, I will start this in 4 months, and therefore I'll have to start placing orders for the software or choosing a software in the kind of latest of 2 weeks' time. Otherwise, my completion of that project is all going to be postponed and so on. So sequencing tasks, using logic, prioritizing stuff, having to-do lists to keep control of it and so on. Measuring, reviewing how you're doing, taking corrective action if things are going astray, are all important. Finally, on this chapter, 3 types of methods of getting help in organizations. Obviously, you can have formal training courses to improve people's development or to improve their performance. But you need to be aware of what the difference is between a coach, a mentor, and a counselor. So a coach, learning by coaching, is essentially accompanying or being with or being overseen by an experienced employee. This employee will set you a little task, will give you help to achieve it, and then maybe you try it yourself and they will have a look at what you've managed to do and so on. It's essentially through coaching that most people learn how to audit. When you join an auditing firm for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, you probably have formal training where you're taught the theory of auditing and taught about the documentation. But then you will go out on an audit with an experienced auditor, somebody who's been there for maybe 2 or 3 years. This person will give you little tasks to do in the audit, will explain how they're done, will review what you've done, will tell you changes you have to make and so on. So you're essentially, it's sometimes called learning on the job rather than learning on a separate distinct training course. And it's very, very effective method of training. Very effective method of training. A mentor is not so much to do with training. A mentor is someone who is there in a kind of support role, a kind of almost professional friend at work. A mentor should not really be your boss, should not be anyone you're working for. Because when you join an organization and you're learning in the organization, but people can have difficult times in the organization. They can have moments of self-doubt in the organization. They have moments of disappointment in the organization where maybe they didn't perform as well as they thought they should, or maybe the boss actually told them off. And you need a kind of heart-to-heart with a friend. And a mentor will not really be somebody of equal status to you. They will have kind of more experience. And you can go to this mentor and you say, oh, this happened today, the client said this, my boss said this, I feel really down about it, and so on. And the mentor can say, well, yes, that happened to me. That happens to everybody. Don't worry about it too much, and so on. Or they might say, okay, that happened. The way to get around this, the way to kind of fix it, the way to get in some of these good books again, is by taking this sort of action. Or maybe the mentor might say, I think what you need is a bit of a training course. You're obviously not equipped to be doing this. You have to feel free to be able to discuss kind of problems with your mentor, your supporter. And if your mentor is your direct boss, you're unlikely, I would say, to confess maybe your doubts and worries to your boss, because you'll be worried, my boss now thinks I'm inadequate for the job, I've got all of these kind of problems. A counsellor is different again. A counsellor provides guidance principally through what's called non-directional counselling. A counsellor will never really say to you, I think you should do this, or I advise you to do this. What a counsellor does really is to get you to kind of discuss problems, and through the act of discussing those problems, and the counsellor asking questions like, how do you feel about that, or which of these options do you prefer, or how do you think you should react to that, or what do you think you should do now? By asking these sort of questions, hopes that you will get to a conclusion which might have been difficult for you to get to without ventilating these kind of feelings and so on. A counsellor will never say, as I said, this is what you should do. The counsellor, however, will hope that by talking about the problems, you come in a way to the right solution, or a solution which is right for you in that particular context. So counselling, happening to helping people, as I say, to come to their own conclusion in difficult circumstances.